Hey, bro. Yeah, sorry, but I have full bars. I should have perfect internet on the cell, but I got local Wi-Fi here, so we'll see what works. But I apologize. I thought I had it nailed here for you.
Yeah, it looks good now. So good job. We were just talking about cocktail shrimp because we're expecting cocktail shrimp. You got it coming?
Actually, I've got red beans and sausage coming, but the shrimp was actually my first choice. And then they said, "Yeah, we're actually out. It hasn't been delivered for today yet."
Oh no!
So, yeah, and I'll be where I get lots of shrimp over the next few weeks because I'll be across Asia here shortly. So I'm just getting ready to climb on a plane. But the travel advisory worldwide is kind of interesting. It tells you how broad the threat is. There's so many people that have not actually understood the magnitude of the operations which are underway right now with the Trump administration. Worldwide, Trump wants to be remembered as the president who brought peace in this modern time, and so he's out addressing all of these conflicts over the world and trying to essentially make it bad business sense to be fighting and good business sense to figure out a reason to work together, even in the Mideast. And these are, to most people near impossibilities. But he and the people behind him have a dream that they can bring some kind of relative stability to the world that we can build on. And much of that involves those people that will not come to a peaceful solution, that have perpetual war in mind, terrorism, disruption, their way or the highway forever. They're on a one-way path. That's not the world we're going to allow going out in the future. And so the fight's on. And bringing it all to a head, a comparison is well presented, I think, in the movie Patton. Montgomery wanted to fight it down through these paths in the landing in Italy and just dog it out, and they were just getting wiped out. It was a steady stream of numbers every day. And Patton, his route was going to cost more lives, but it was going to be short-term, once and done, get it over with, and did, and ultimately cost fewer lives than the route that Montgomery was trying to force everybody to go. And that was a repeating theme throughout World War II. President Trump is going in, engaging, bringing things to a head, and throwing our weight around. And personally, I think that is the correct action. We're the right generation. We don't want to pass this chaos on to our kids and grandkids and have them continue to have to fight the same battles over and over and over, Hamburger Hill. We're going to go in there, take it, and hold it, and put an end to the bullshit. And that's the path that Trump and the people who invited Trump to run are on. And that's across the board how we do business. This idea of nation building. We go get America, send all of our industry, factories, jobs overseas to build some other nation while you're ripping the guts and heart out of America. That doesn't work. And that's not, appropriate. So, and I just think many people here, and even our audience, take a deep breath. It may not have been clear, but when you're in war, you don't always telegraph the ultimate logic or objectives of what you're doing to everybody. It becomes clearer as you go. And I think this is going to become clearer for everybody as we go, that this is not a failure of a plan in the way things are going right now. This is the plan. And we're seeing progress across the globe. But it also means that those people that want to be terroristic, that have stuff spread out all over the world, they got a short window to use them, and the likelihood that even if they do try to use them or get close to using them, we're going to catch them and wipe them out. So, you know, we're in a world where you can move quickly to other parts of the world. They got alliances that are hidden. We're going to bring all those to the surface and try to take out our enemies and bring the world into a peaceful stage, unlike we've had in the last probably 300 years.
Yep. So yeah, this has been a fight. I think this goes all the way back to the Trojan War. We just had that movie Odysseus come out, the Odyssey, with Odysseus, and it seems like the same.
Oh yeah. Well, and even think of the line in the movie, "Okay, boys, let's go home."
Yeah. I guess you saw it.
I think we're all ready for that right now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to see it. Jen isn't as excited about all of the scary scenes, blood and guts. And I will say this, it does leave a mark on your soul. We're so pickled in death, gore, violence, etc. And it does make for interesting movies, guy stuff, etc. She's not, she's not in that mode. And so I have to pick my moments when I can, kind of watch stuff that I want to watch, and I try to be considerate. So, if I'm on the airplane, I can watch something. Occasionally I get something. I had a couple of very long flights the other day, and so I got to watch a bunch of the Yellowstone stuff that I'd missed, and then this other movie over on Netflix, I think it is, The Jackal, Day of the Jackal, which of course there was 2 previous movies made. The first one was the best. The second one was pretty good too, though, with Bruce Willis. And but this TV show, and it does seem to be, I got about halfway through, it does seem to be pretty good. And I've got like a 24-hour flight ahead of me here in just a day or so, and hopefully it'll be on the screen there and I can watch that. So finish my series. But we're so pickled in blood and gore and the murder mysteries and things like that, it affects you. And I don't know that we even understand how much it affects us individually or as a society. And then some people are more sensitive, and I guess I'm glad for that, because it shouldn't be so normalized for us. But I guess you and I probably come from the same thing, where I want to go see the Odyssey. I want to see the whole thing unfold. So
yeah, I think they did a really good job with the masterpiece that Homer released to it. So it's very, very good ending. The way it built up to it and everything, and how he worked through all the different problems, and he was for his men, but his men weren't quite there. And I think that's kind of the way the world is to a certain extent. There's those of us that are trying to inform people and get them to come along. He tried to do that with his men. His men were not open to that. They suffered, and then they were expired. And so, but he prevailed and came back and did some really good stuff at the end. So I think that's where we're at right now. We're going to prevail and do really well going forward.
Well, we went and watched the movie Young Washington the other day, and Jen went with me and put up with the drama. But I think you have to watch some of those movies to see even people that you would consider a hero or someone who you want to emulate, and realize how human they are too, the mistakes that they went through to become the person they later became. And all of us, I mean, there's 1,000, a million things that I go back and go, well, now I'd have done this that way, or I'd done it some other way, or things that I did, and I know, you know what, history, time will make that clearer, and I wouldn't change a thing. But to see the movie Young Washington, I thought was very well done. Angel Studios has been all over the map on stuff they've done, good and bad, as far as I'm concerned. But that one and the other studios that cooperated in making it, I think, did a super job. So, yeah, and that's the other movie, Odyssey, that I personally want to go see soon. So, it is part of this moment in history. We're revisiting how history has played out, but you're actually years from now, even generations from now, I believe this exact moment, and especially the next few months to 2 years, will be played and replayed, viewed, and all the different angles, vectors coming in at this moment in history will be revisited for generations to come. And we're actually living it. When you're right in the middle of it, it may not seem exactly the same way, but down the road when your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, if you're so lucky, get a chance to interrogate you about it, it'll be interesting to see how history is remembered, and how the teachers years from now will talk about this to the kids, and will it be with us in a favorable light, or will it be with us in a disfavorable light? The winners write the history, right?
Yep. So how is history going to be written this time?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what our part is. I will say this, even the talks that you and I've had, and other people you've interviewed, other people I've interviewed with, were kind of helping people to understand this moment and put it in a context. And there are different viewpoints on this moment. What survives and is remembered 6 months from now, 6 years from now, that's something different, and it's how well we've articulated and branded this moment in the hearts and the minds of the people that will retell it later. And will they feel well served by how things unfolded, or will they feel that after all the hype, after all the drama and sacrifice, it was for naught? Myself, I've got an awfully long time in this battle to get to this point in time, and I put aside a lot of things that were, very valuable, including relationships, industry, other things that I should have wanted to do. But I felt that this fight over how elections are held and what constitutes money and how we trade our life energy for it was so critical that I had to just engage in the war, stay with it, and see it through. Otherwise, everything else doesn't really matter. And so now we're down to crunch time as far as I'm concerned, and we'll see, we'll know in large measure over the next many months and year or two whether or not all of that sacrifice on so many people's part was worth it or not. There's so many people, Michael, that have set their life aside, their family aside, other work opportunities, just the chance to go out and wiggle your toes to the sandy beach, wrench on your car, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, to be in this fight, to get back to fair, honest elections and honest money. And if we don't win those battlegrounds, then it's all for naught. And a lot of the players that we've known personally who put their all into it and expired, not doing other fun things they could have done, it will seem like a terrible tragedy. So we have lots of fantastic people that are in the fight, and they're not dropping, they're not giving up. And so I don't think I'm alone. You're not alone. These players in the audience aren't alone. We're on the right path. We're, on the right course to be on the right side of history. So I don't know how you feel about it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth the fight. I've been in the fight like you for quite a long time. I think this part of the fight that we're involved in, I've been on the kinetic side for a lot of years, but this seems to be the most important part of the fight I've ever been in.
Well, even when you're fighting on the kinetic side, it's to get back to some sense of reasonability, some balance where everybody can get along, go along, live, whatever, some level of stability societally, nation to nation, etc. In this post-Cold War world, even post-World War II world, we haven't really reached any stability for any stretch of time at all, except for the Mexican standoff and the intrigues underneath behind it during the Cold War. The number of people that have died in various regional conflicts is just absolutely mind-bending since World War II. And because these wars have continued on. And again, where would some of those people want to strike across the world in order to keep the fights going? What would they be capable of? I will reiterate to this audience what I've said several times. We are missing some nukes globally, and it appears that some materials needed to refresh a handful of those nukes did get made, assembled, and deployed. And so there is kind of a sum of all fears moment that we're in. Even as I mentioned on the show we did the other day, I mentioned the fact that there's this nuclear dust, as Trump likes to call it, the yellow cake, the material that's a precursor. It's actually beyond yellow cake, but that's a precursor for making the enriched weapons materials went to Iran, and it came out of the United States, uranium-1. And Trump keeps reiterating, oh, thank you.
Here right now.
All right, good deal, thanks. Can I get a glass of ice also, please?
Yeah.
And Trump keeps reiterating that he wants that nuclear dust back. Wants it back. What's he talking about back? He wants something back from Iran. How did it get to Iran in the first place? That is the material that got shipped out of America under Obama and made its way through Russia and down to Iran. And so Trump is very adamant that we want that back. And the Iranians have been all over the map in, discussing it, wanting to agree to do it, whatever. In fact, we did a mother of all bombs drop about 30 hours ago and in Iran. They don't want to give it back. We'll make sure it never gets out in one piece or anybody with it, we keep having to do this fight. So, but he's not going to back off. He's not going to let that material sit out there and be a threat to the whole world. Whoever wants to be in power in Iran has to agree to give us that back. And they don't give us that material back, then, the war's not over. So that's what's up.
Yeah, we've talked about how, up to 200 cities here in America would, conflict in 200 cities and fall back to like 14 cities. If there is some nukes out there, which sounds like there are, they're able to, pick them off or activate them off. That's the thing that we're looking at right now. And the threat and who
Well,
might
and who would you be willing to sacrifice if you got something out there? Which city is the one that, if they want to make a demonstration, prove how powerful they are, like a James Bond movie or a Our Man Flint? You know, whose city is it that you're willing to sacrifice to, in this game of chicken with nukes? And so, the things that the administration has done while working through this problem, all those drones back before the election in 2024 that were mapping out places across the country. They weren't just looking for nukes, they were mapping out places where you get false readings, false signatures, certain that they had a very accurate understanding so that as they continued to monitor, they wouldn't be reacting to something that we already knew wasn't what it appeared to be, or looking for any changes. So the nuke issue is still out there. And then, by the way, look at the other stuff within the biological world, even up front. We have information coming out of government agencies about a parasite on some of the fresh fruits coming out of Mexico, and then hours later they pull it back. Why? Because the politics. You have the stuff with the screwworm in cattle and other wildlife. And I deal with the guys doing this directly, working on this issue directly. And when I was out in D.C., and they were saying, well, the real core of the problem with this resurgence of screwworm, where we haven't had an issue with it since the 50s, is coming out of Mexico because they're allowing the cattle to come over uninspected and then come into U.S. feedlots with problems, and then you had an eruption of the screwworm again. But also, it erupted in multiple locations around the Americas all at the same time. It doesn't appear to have been an accident of nature. It appears to have been something that was engineered. And this screwworm thing is no laughing matter. It can kill a human or a cattle in 10 to 14 days.
Yep.
So it's not like this, and the flies and all that. So there's all sorts of things going on. A number of the states have already authorized a certain protocol to try and get it back under control, but there wasn't any real desire on the federal government's part to address this, and we knew this problem was coming, not just for a few months, but for a couple of years. They only shut down cattle coming over the border from Mexico last fall, and it was only because ranchers here in the States were screaming bloody murder. We had a human infection here in the U.S. up in Maryland, and that was an employee, U.S. government employee that had been working in South America in a particular location, and came back with it, and they diagnosed it, fortunately, in time to keep him alive. But that person will probably get a permanent retirement now, from the damages. And so we have multiple places where we are vulnerable. Here, stateside, there was an issue in some of the farm locations where we have stuff that there was a type of parasite that was also on the green vegetables, and warning the stores that actually had it and the locations where it may be spreading. Is it natural? Yeah, you have a lot of that stuff that happens naturally. Unfortunately, we're monitoring for it. But there's, even in that recounting, there's something fishy about it. So are we under attack? Within lots right now, and I think that's very much so a possibility.
Yeah, you said what city would they probably hit if they hit one? And we've seen the New York City's had those nuclear bomb attack, and the preparedness nuclear threat preparedness in New York City. They've had those a couple of years ago, several years ago when we came out with that. And recently, there's articles that are coming out that New York City could be the prime target.
Large population center is a more likely target because they get more damage, and they want to be spectacular. They want to have maximum impact, and that's at the core of terrorism. And it also has to do with the productivity, the industry. If your municipality is faced with all sorts of potential drama, then people don't go out to eat, they don't go to football games, they don't hang out at the park, which of course was part of the point of the whole COVID spectacle. So terrorism, to try and stop us from just living life and force us to succumb to being managed at a distance by these slave masters, terrorize us to be their slaves. We can't allow it. Trump and team are engaging them on their turf, not waiting for them to get to our turf. Iran has been exporting terrorism and disrupting governments around the world with impunity, and had money to do that from the Obama administration. Yarding that in, capping it off, is what we're doing right now. And then the other side of the coin that I know so many in this audience are concerned about, people trying to protect themselves from the terrorism, namely specifically have been lobbying, getting all sorts of support and assistance, not being yarded in when they get out of hand. And it's this continuous, I'm trying to balance the teeter-totter scales. And so this one's too heavy, now I gotta put more weight over here, now I gotta put more weight over here, until the beam bends and breaks. That's not a solution. De-escalate these situations, and we're gonna de-escalate both sides. Even with merging of military operations between Israel and the U.S., that's a bit overplayed. We merged military operations with just about every state that we sell arms to around the world.
So it looks like we lost Juan, but the places where probably nukes would be, I think, unfortunately, Democrat-held cities, because they would have the ability to move around and set those up, because of the Democrat cities have allowed for the illegal immigration. Of course, in New York, they're doing basically turning New York City into a communist city. So that would allow the bad actors to come in and make those moves. The same thing in Seattle. They're moving towards communism, have a communist mayor. LA, communism. Those are cities that I would suspect could possibly get hit by the nukes that they have floating around out there. So this is real. What Juan is talking about, something that we knew when I was in the CIA, that there were some loose nukes out there, right? So there's lots of different places where they could have come from. U.S., right? So bad actors in the U.S. Could have brought them in and all kind of crazy stuff. So there's unfortunately several states and cities that. Good one.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know what the issue is, because I couldn't have better reception or internet right now. Full bars both ways. Nothing I can tell you about it. The only thing I can say is StreamYard has just been wonky for me anyway, for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the issue is there, but anyway. So, but let me ask you this. What do you think are the most important things going on right now that we need to address? You know,
Yeah, now that Trump
getting an honest vote and the fact that you can't fix it.
Yes. So I think that, wow, that's like you're really getting out. So I think that the vote is the thing, because if they capture another election, then they can come in and do whatever they want. That's Trump can stop.
Well, and I am fairly comfortable that the intent is to stop the election probably late October, to pause everything. Could be as soon as late September, but you know, he's going to let them do all of the shifty crap that they want to do, seal their fate, and then act. And you know, the only thing is an extension here, and I haven't said this before because I didn't want it to be a problem, but now it's erupted in some bizarre places, so I'll just state this. There's a handful who, because of things, you know, that I and others have said concerning the pause, Trump pausing the election as a national security emergency, define emergency and say, sorry about that, authority national emergency and pause the elections as a national security matter. They're wrong, but they were trying to work through, engineering through how they would hold a vote within certain of these states in spite of Trump declaring a national security emergency related to the vote. There's this scuttlebutt going around that he doesn't have the legal authority technically to declare a national emergency and pause the vote. What they're not understanding, what needs to be reiterated, and I've told this audience and many other audiences this previously, Trump resigned the presidency in late March of 2020 and assumed the role of commander-in-chief. In his rallies, every single rally, I don't think there was even one where it wasn't put up there. And you saw all these memes and things that he posted to show you what was going on in the economy and other stuff. One of the most interesting memes that he put up is a meme showing his popularity, and that the lowest point of his popularity was March, late March of 2020. And in the bottom right corner of that meme, it says, Trump resigns the presidency. I have to resign the presidency is what Trump said. And then his popularity starts to go up after that. The date around which that occurred is right when he closed up Cheyenne Mountain. March 13th, 2020, he declared a national emergency related to COVID. 2 days later, while doing a walkthrough at Cheyenne Mountain, he closed up the mountain. He said, out of an abundance of caution, because we may have just been attacked related to COVID. We may be at war and not realize it yet. So out of an abundance of caution, I'm sealing up the mountain. Now, one of the aspects here, even within the Patriot groups listening, you know, people that have been on this for quite a while, it was in the context of COVID. So people have said that COVID isn't valid as continuation of the threat related to elections. Excuse me. Excusez-moi. COVID was all about the elections around the world. COVID was put in play in order to create a context for voting remotely, drop boxes, slowing down the voting and doing mail-in. And so the context for even having COVID out there was to control the voting systems around the world and to create a situation where the only way you could vote was if you had a vaccine passport to be able to come out in public. They weren't able to pull it off completely. The players involved overplayed their hand. Trump did warp speed. And warp speed forced the people that brought COVID to us to bring out the vaccine years earlier than they wanted to. The vaccine already existed in 2015. That's a matter of public record. DARPA had the vaccine. Department of Defense was storing the vaccine materials for COVID in 2015. So all that we did was Trump, with his Operation Warp Speed, forced them to bring it out way sooner. The corollary here is the hunt for Red October. In the movie, when the attack sub caught up with Ramius in the Red October submarine, he immediately fired torpedoes to kill Ramius, and the Americans were on board the boat to kill the Red October. Ramius, the captain, turned the Red October sub right at the torpedoes that had been fired at it, and then took it up to 100%, 110%, 115% power output from the nuclear reactors. They were afraid they were going to melt the reactors, blow the boat up, but he raced at the torpedoes coming at him. And the issue was, going back to the earliest days in submarine warfare, there were several submarines that were killed by their own torpedoes. They came out of the tubes. The rudders didn't quite work the way they were supposed to, and they went in a great big circle, came back and killed the submarine that had fired the torpedoes. So they put safeties in torpedoes where they had to run straight and true for a certain distance that was dialed into the torpedo, how many revolutions the propeller would turn before the detonation device would become active and able to blow. And depending on whose group you're dealing with, 80 to 85, 90% of the distance before it would go active. What Ramius did is he closed the distance between the sub that fired the torpedoes and himself. He closed the distance to those torpedoes, and he got inside the range where they were still unarmed. When they hit the Red October, because he raced at them, they just bounced off the hull. They didn't explode because they hadn't yet armed. The other sub-captain then turned around and recalculated the shot, got into a new position, and then fired again. But this time, because he was in such a rush, he told them not to put any safeties on. Just fire them with no safeties. They go active the second they come out of the tubes. This time it looked like Red October was toast and it was going to be killed. That's when the American submarine Dallas got between the torpedoes and the Red October, created turbulence in the water, confusing things, put out things that would, confuse the torpedoes, and then did a blow where they went rapidly to the surface, just shot straight up to the surface, and got out of the way of the torpedoes while they were confused and went through all that turbulence. They lost sight of the Red October in that turbulent water, got turned around a bit, found the original sub that had fired the torpedoes, and with no safety in place, the torpedoes honed in on the metallic material, the reflective surface on the submarine that had fired the torpedoes, and came around and killed it. That's COVID. When Trump raced the deep state to release the vaccine early, it opened up society. People believed that they could now function. They were all under propaganda, but people wouldn't have listened and weren't listening, as we talked about hydroxychloroquine and other things that could help with staving off this advanced flu, this weaponized flu. But COVID was every bit about cooking the elections, not just in the U.S. but around the world, drop boxes, etc., mail-in ballots, etc. And so that national security emergency, only one person, according to the way it was set up, and as a NORAD continuity and government operation, only one person has the authority to stop the national security emergency, and that's Trump. Biden couldn't do it. Neither could Congress once 1 year had passed and they didn't cancel it. And so it stays in effect. So technically, those people saying that Trump can't declare a national emergency regarding elections are misunderstanding. He has every legal authority needed to now continue with this national security emergency and to pause the vote because of the foreign interference by China and other countries. And the data, the material that Trump released after the address to the nation the other day is being added to pretty regularly, several times a week. We haven't got everything in the public yet. They're building out the case. So people saying, well, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Yeah, actually, there's plenty there, lots there. And they're not going to back off. Those people saying that there's no case for the elections having been stolen in 2020 will have to eat every one of those words, and they are going to be dirt in their mouths before this is over. So Trump's right on the right path, doing exactly what has to be done. And what we're about, Michael, what our role is at this exact moment in time, is to help people to understand the context, bring these details out as they come to light, explain them, and help people to understand the context of this moment. We were attacked. China, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, the Russians, other groups were all in on some pieces of this. Serbia, Italy, NATO partners. And so we will have to address this. We were attacked at the nation-state level, and so a policing response over at the Justice Department is inadequate. That's an internal response. This was acts of war. To steal an election is an act of war. To interfere in another country's elections is an act of war. So have to be addressed, including Gitmo and court, military courts versus civilian courts addressing these issues. We're just getting started.
Definitely. And some of the comments about, President Trump wasn't broadcast on a lot of the news agencies, NBC, CBS, and CNN. There's talk about pulling their licenses and so forth. You think we're going in that direction?
Well, I don't think CBS went along with it, but ABC, MSNBC. The deal is this. They get to broadcast for free. We charge everybody else for use of the airwaves. And then the second thing is, because there's only so many airwaves you can use for those types of broadcasts, but also they have to carry national emergency security briefings, etc., something coming from the president.
Right.
Especially in this kind of a period, fits within the context of something that needs to be covered. They're getting paid to keep those broadcast channels open so that in time of emergency we can broadcast things to the citizens. And then, who makes CNN, ABC, MSNBC, who makes them judge and jury of what's a lie and what's the truth? Okay? They lie and tell untruths all day long as though they are true. I noticed, on AOL, they put out, in context of Trump's address to the nation, that President Trump was lying to the nation again.
Right.
That he was committing a fraud against the world concerning the 2020 election. Okay, so who made them judge and jury? And how are they going to have to eat their words down the road as we get more and more details of exactly what happened? And by the way, China didn't just assist through the parts that went into the various electronic machines. They also printed ballots and sent them here to the U.S. and distributed them. They didn't in 2024 go out into the mail system, but they did in 2020. And so where a lot of these people thought we didn't have anything and nothing was going to happen, the reality is the administration, the investigative agencies behind the scenes have lots of data concerning the stolen 2020 election, and that will come out decisively. And so Trump is just starting to lay rails to get to where he wants to go, and nobody's going to stop that. So, these next couple of months, as the case is made for interference in the election, and that nothing has been done. If we went forward with the election today, right this second, if the SAVE Act was passed, if we got everything that we asked for, even a hand count paper ballot counted where cast. The problem is you have people who are already on the ballot through fraudulent primaries and through mischief within the primaries, where the voter rolls weren't cleaned. So what you'd be doing is sealing the deal with these fraudulent candidates on the voter rolls and or ballots, and so that would be a fraud against the American people. Also, the only correct fix at this point in time is a full stop, pause, and get the ballots corrected, get the voter rolls corrected, and how we're going to vote. There's still people that think you can fix the machines in the few weeks we have till the election. You can't fix the machines. You've still got to do testing. You have to do training for the people that are using them. It'll never, ever, ever happen. The only solution at this point to get to a fair election is to pause this election, reset things, get them sorted out, and then proceed forward. And you can't do that by an act of Congress. You can't even do that from the presidency. You can't do it at the state level. You can't just do it in certain states but not others. Be nationwide. It's a federal election. And so the only way to do it is a full stop, correct these things, and then come back and do it. And in a perfect world, could we rerun the elections in 3 months? No way. You couldn't get everything sorted out in 3 months. Could it be 6 months? President Trump, his 107th executive order of this administration, this term, was March 25th of 2025, signed at 1:07 in the afternoon, and it directed all of the county clerks across the country, with the assistance of the governors, to clean up the voter rolls in preparation for this election. And they had until September 25th to do that. They didn't do it. They didn't fix it. Nothing got done. None of the counties across the country got their voter rolls cleaned up. They said they didn't have money. Well, that's what a county clerk gets money for, is to run the voter rolls. They said they didn't have, whatever. They said they were clean. And it's false, because they were using ERIC and things like that, which is a tool used to clean up the voter rolls, which is mischief. And by the way, the people running ERIC, I think they got a problem. I think they got a legal problem. We'll see how that goes. There's stuff in the flow right now that is going to look at funding sources and like that. And I think a lot of those people probably should lawyer up. That'd be my advice. But let's see what happens. So at the end of the day, you can't fix the 2026 election at this point in time. There's too many things wrong. It's a full stop. If you don't do a full stop. Let's say you ran the election, and then a few days afterwards, it's obvious there's fraud in there, et cetera, and you pause or stop it then before anybody gets to get to office. It could be done that way. But I think it's problematic because it looks more and more like a coup. And you're now going, because your guys didn't win, you just want to go after the ones that didn't win. No, I think you have to go after this before you get there with the understanding that you can't run the election under these circumstances because it's been frauded already. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Yep. So, yep. Any final words? I want you to get those beans, black beans, and sausage. So.
Well, there is drama going on in the financial markets behind the scenes, and it's pretty epic. And China just closed down a number of their trading platforms for gold. Silver wasn't specifically mentioned directly, but there's been plenty of people said no, it's there in the silver too. They don't want to get caught with their pants down with this paper gold and silver trades, and that's what they're specifically looking at. And so there's other stuff going on in other countries. So for example, I had a call over the weekend with a very moneyed group that wants to buy not just a few thousand bars of gold, but they want several tons of gold, and they're getting out of two particular currencies that they're deep in, which isn't the dollar, by the way. And so they're working through that pretty steadily. I think they'll get that deal done in the next few days even. Others are showing up all of a sudden now trying to do it. They sense blood in the water. And since Trump's address the other day, this is going to continue to escalate. And I think the fear of central banks around the world being in some type of peril is getting more and more real by the day. So again, what do you do when the paper fiat becomes questionable? And by the way, what was it China shut down? Paper fiat gold trades. They don't want their own banks getting snookered and holding paper gold, not real gold. If they're going to transact, they have to purchase it and they have to pay for it. And the transaction is done for real, and transferring the actual underlying gold asset, even stuff in vaults, to other people ownership in those vaults, wherever it might be in the world. So, people should kind of take a understanding. There's a little bit of hanky-panky going on in the paper trades, even right now, but the real players are moving to physical to get out of danger.
That's good. Yep. And of course, your coins are doing really well, I bet.
Well, I haven't pushed them hard. While silver and like that is down, they're great buy. I'm not changing pricing. They're works of art. And, Jen has plenty of great deals over on her site too with other things. The 2020 jacket, I actually asked Jen over the weekend if we could do anything to make something sweet for the 2020 jacket. I think that 2020 It's Not Over Yet art is absolutely fantastic. Trump as the Megador is fantastic. Some of the other stuff she has in there is just amazing within her store. And so people ought to go take a look at it. What I was thinking for our September event there in Vegas is I may take 5 minutes and see if everybody can do the sing along with the 2020 It's Not Over Yet song. think that'd be fun. And that's going to be a huge event. Roseanne is premiering her first 2 episodes of her new TV show, 10-part series, and it's just hysterical. We're showing Dark Horse again, and then we have a surprise or 2 still for that first night that I haven't announced yet, but I think I'm going to MC that personally and do that directly. So we're working through that run of show right now, but it'll be a fantastic event. They took or in the process right now of taking out the bar at the center of the Ahern Hotel, so that we'll have a whole new layout. The TV's on the opposite side of the room now, and much more open space. There's not a bad seat in the house for the show. We've got audio tests that we're going to do the last week of August, and bring in some other speaker equipment to get a better sound in the room and like that. So we're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And then the speakers, we have several that have already committed that I think are just going to be amazing, and continuing to build that out. So it will be a couple of the same speakers from the last lineup, but where they have totally new information. And then a number of speakers you haven't heard before that will build this out. So if you were at the last one, it's no comparison to this one. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I got the flyer up. I see you got Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer and Wayne Allen Root had a great time. James O'Keefe, Eduardo Bolsonaro's back, Tina Peters. So David Clements, you can't go wrong with this.
Well, and Kurt Weldon on the 9/11 stuff, along with Schaefer and a couple of other surprises in there too that we don't even want to announce till last second. We have a delegation coming over from South Korea. I'll be over there in a few days.
Oh, good.
And a delegation coming in from Brazil, which is way larger than the last one. I think we got 20 coming from each location, it sounds like now. So to talk about election issues in those locations. And by the way, there is stuff happening in D.C. right now on the election stuff since Trump did his address to the nation the other day. And it's pretty epic stuff, but it's not within the mainstream conversation. I will tell you that persons that this audience would know instantly were in a initial briefing last week with a very large number of people present from multiple investigative agencies. Campaigns should be looking over their shoulder. This is a very serious effort with very advanced tools and a very large number of people that have been thrown into the mix to make this happen. Very real. They're going after fraudulent campaign funding sources both in and outside of the U.S. And this is a big addressed during the September conference, and I'm looking forward to that. Some of it they'll just have to tease. Arrests and tribunals are coming, but they're not quite yet. So deep breaths. We're on the correct path.
Very good. All right, we had a big turnout today on YouTube and X. I think we hit 5,600 briefly, but great showing. A lot of great information as always. Thanks for coming on after the last show we did. That you come on and give us an update, so really appreciate it. And we've got a lot of good comments about beans, how they clean you out, they're healthy for you, but you be too. So we're looking forward to hearing your stories about that.
Drama is just ahead. The one thing everybody really does need to do is prayer. prayer required. Prayer changes things.
Yep, very good.
Wild bends and twists. And I have no question in my mind that we'll make it least possible and our allies. And so, prayer is not wasted.
Yeah,
The devil and his minions. There's a lot at stake, not just for us, but